Good afternoon and welcome to Thunder Bay Live. I'm here today with Patty Hajdu.
You did
Patty,
it.
welcome, first of all. Patty, I want the viewers out there to know a little bit about you, who you are, where you come from, your ideas, your beliefs, etc. I'm going to start off with where were you born, where were you raised, your education. Just let the people out there know a little bit about that.
Right, well, I was born in Montreal, actually, in 66. Seems like a long time ago now. I know, right? Hopefully nobody's doing math up there now. And I lived in Montreal for 4 years, and then due to some family problems, my aunt and uncle raised us in Minnesota. So I actually lived in northern Minnesota till I was 12, and then moved back to Thunder Bay to live with my mom at 12. And I've been in and around Thunder Bay since 12 years old. So I consider myself really a long-time resident of Thunder Bay. I went to high school here, and I went to university here, and I spent about 5 years in Toronto, but came back to Thunder Bay because it's a great place to live.
Now, I got to say, there's a little conflict here because I also went to the same high school as Patty, so if you look up, don't hold that against me. Patty, are you married? You have children? You have kids?
Yep. I've been involved in a long-time partnership with my partner. We don't live together, but we've been together for 9 years, and we've kind of co-raised our children. And I have 2 lovely boys that are my children, and then I also am a step-parent to 2 children that are Paul's children. And so together we have 4 kids, ranging from 27 to 18.
Wow. Your education, what kind of education? Did you go to high school, university?
All of it. Yeah, I went to high school. I went to Port Arthur Collegiate. It was a fantastic school, and I was one of the people that was so saddened when it was closed, although it's lovely to see it being used as a law school now. Really great memories from PACI, and actually, had my first love there, and lots of great teachers. I actually lived alone from the age of 16 on, so I had tremendous social support from the school and from many teachers who really mentored me and helped me through those tough times. And I still graduated very successfully and went off to university in Toronto. Didn't complete my degree there, but came back to Thunder Bay after 5 years or so of working in Toronto and went to LU. And then I graduated first with a BA in anthropology, first class standing, and then I went on to do my honors, and I graduated again first class standing from anthropology at Lakehead.
And I think I was looking at your biography that you have a master's.
Yeah, I just pressed send on my final project, so I will be graduating sometime in the next semester with a Master's of Public Administration from University of Victoria. Did it all online. It took me, well, we just figured out the math. It took me 4 years, but it was well worth every long night on the couch, that's for sure.
Well, that certainly says a lot about you, that's for sure. Patty, what about your work background? Because when I first met you, you were at the District Health Unit.
That's right, yeah.
So could you just tell us a little bit about your work ethic and work background?
Sure.
So people out there know a little bit about your experiences.
Right. Well, because I left home at 16 and because I was a single mother for many of those years, I've worked pretty much consistently since I was 16 years old. So in terms of ethic, I've always worked. I can't remember a time when I didn't. And actually after graduation, I started working with a graphic design firm. I worked in nonprofit before graduation, and I worked with a graphic design firm for 4 years where I really honed my communication skills. And then was really fortunate to get a job in public health. I had finished my honors and was hired on by the Public Health Unit as a health promotion planner. And that was the real, kickstart for my love of public policy, because I started to understand that so much is controlled by politics, actually. Everything is political, And so we were working on trying to help people adopt better behaviors. But what we realized is that people have a really hard time adopting better behaviors if those foundations aren't there. So things like housing and education and access to nutritious food and a stable job, all of those things really control people's health outcomes more than any choice really does. And so with that knowledge, my passion for policy grew.
Now, I know that you went on to look after drug strategy. You started it, I think, at the City Hall. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what happened after? Because you wound up, as people know, shelter house. So.
Right, yeah, well, during the time at the Public Health Unit, the city actually approached the District Health Unit to help work on this 4-pillar drug strategy that they had heard of at a conference here locally. And so we applied for some money through Health Canada, and we were successful, actually. I got the job, and so I was able to be the coordinator of a drug strategy. who knew what that was? Nobody knew what to do. We kind of had to figure it out as we went. And so it took 2 years to really figure out what the needs were in the community and then what the solutions were. We compared those to the evidence across the world, and we came up with a plan. And so 31 agencies joined together and agreed on this plan. And we presented it to council. I think you probably even remember. And it was unanimously ratified by City Council as the official plan to deal with substance use in our community. And we were overjoyed by the response by the politicians. And then we decided with the city that it would be logical for that to be coordinated through the city, because there were so many different actions in all of these different areas that it really needed someone that, you know, wasn't attached to one pillar. That wasn't, like, for example, enforcement or public health, because those mandates are pretty narrow, and we needed somebody who could really direct work across all of those mandates, and that was the City of Thunder Bay. And so I helped the drug strategy transition to the city. And then about 4 or 5 months later, Cal Rankin resigned as the executive director of Shelter House, and we had been working with Shelter House through the drug strategy on the managed alcohol program, and I was asked to apply to be the ED, and I submitted my application, not really sure if that was what I wanted to do, but after getting to know the organization and its values, I thought this was a fantastic opportunity to make a difference and learn so much about how to run an organization, and I couldn't pass it up.
Well, you know, there's an organization, and then the Shelter House. Shelter House has a very unique mandate. It deals with a lot of unique situations. You know, I always thought when I'm doing a job somewhere, I always think I know pretty well an idea about. Once I get there, I realize, oh my God, did you have that same kind of experience when you got the Shelter House?
Very much so, yeah.
You know, because that's a whole different ballgame now.
And I think that's what a lot of people don't realize about Shelter House is that we are a unionized environment. We hire approximately 60 staff. We have a budget of $2.4 million a year, and you know the majority of that is spent on salary and wages and those kinds of things. And so we contribute to the economy as well. Yeah. But being a large employer, a mid-sized employer like that, comes with all kinds of things that you know, if you have never run an organization, you have to learn, and it's trial by fire. And so the first year I was very lucky. We had a really great board of directors. We still do. But this board really mentored me, allowed me to make mistakes. I had to learn through, you know, trial and error in some cases. But we had a lot of good people advising us, and we got through it. And 3 years later, I feel, you know, very confident in the role, but man, I have learned so much, and it's been such a joy to learn not just how to run a business, but also to learn about the community from a really personal level, and just how much that Shelter House contributes to the safety and wellness of our entire community.
Now I want to get back to your personal experiences for a second. What kind of hobbies do you do? What kind of things you like to do on your own? What do you like to do?
Well, my children laugh right now that there's a groove in the couch from my master's, and that I haven't really done a whole heck of a lot while I've been doing my online course, but I am an avid snowboarder. Okay. So my sons, early on when we would go out to the ski hill, convinced me to give up my skis and try snowboarding. It was a particularly brutal year, that first year, because I don't know if you've ever snowboarded, but there's a lot of rough tumbles that first year, but I became very good at it, so I love that. I used to run quite a bit. I've run a marathon and a half marathon, and I ran the 10-miler many times, and now I just run very lightly. You know, as we get older, our knees start to complain a bit more. I have 2 dogs, so I'm very active, and I walk the dogs on a regular basis. I love all kinds of crafts, but I just find that lately I haven't had much time to do those kinds of crafty things.
I want to ask you a question. I guess most people are wondering, why are you running for the Liberal Party? What inspired you to say, you know what, I want to make a difference, I want to get in there, and I want to try to help as much as I can? What was that moment or that?
Well, I think, you know, when we look back on, when we talk about what, you know, my career, when I look back, it's really the experiences that I had in public health that started that thought. And as I said, so much of people's health outcomes or wellness outcomes are determined by the foundations of our community. And so that's where it sort of started to grow for me, that we pour a lot of money into Band-Aids, even if you think about, you know, hospital care and how expensive it is and how much could be alleviated if we were doing way more on prevention. Those kinds of things really started me thinking about politics. And then when I started running Shelter House and coming repeatedly to the municipality and saying, you know, we need more money for this or we need to do that, and all of those needs are very real, commonly I would hear back, well, what about affordable housing and where's the federal government? And in fact, you know, even though I was there to appeal for money for a very sort of emergency type of solution, I knew that that was a good question. And I knew that that was the right question, because continually pouring money into putting out fires, so to speak, is really irresponsible fiscally. And it isn't good public policy. And so often we hear politicians saying, well, we just can't afford to spend money on housing. And my argument is we can't afford not to. Because in fact, what we're spending to manage the situation on the street is, 10 times, 100 times more expensive in some cases than if we were to invest a little up front and make a commitment to affordable housing, a commitment to supporting people to acquire education, a commitment to really looking at boosting our economy and making better jobs for people so that they can support themselves.
I want to ask you a question. Now, this is maybe a tough question. I don't know if it is or not. Why should people vote for you? Why should they vote for you?
Well, I think one of the things that I think that people know about me, hopefully, is that I'm pretty passionate and I have a very loud voice and I'm not afraid to use it. And so, and you've witnessed this yourself.
Yes, I have. So many times.
Yes, and I think that one of the things that we need in the North is we need a very powerful voice in Ottawa. We need someone who can stand up and say, these are the needs of Northern Ontario, and stay focused on Northern Ontario and stay focused on our needs. And I'm not saying that I win every battle, because I don't think it would be honest for any politician to say they win every battle. But I'm not afraid of the battle, and I'm not afraid to go in and present those needs and do my very best to make sure that our needs are met. So I think the biggest thing is that people need to know that I'm not afraid to use my voice and that I'm not afraid to stand up for this community and for our region. And so that would be the first thing, that I'm pretty loud. But I'm very passionate about everything I do as well. So I give 110% to every job, and I think my record demonstrates that in the community, that if I'm working on drug policy, I want that drug strategy to be the best in the country. And in fact, we've been recognized as having the leading edge drug strategy in the country. And if I'm the executive director of a shelter, I want to make sure our shelter is run safely and that it adheres to best practices, and that we're recognized across the country, and we are. And so that's the kind of work that I'm known for, is really trying to be a trailblazer and make sure that we give 110% to whatever we do.
Patty, I want to thank you today for coming on Thunder Bay Live and telling us a little bit about yourself. I will say that I've known Patty for many years, and she's always been passionate. She's been the type of person, when she gets a job to do, she does it. And not only does it, she does it extremely well. You've done a terrific job on the drug strategy for Thunder Bay. I know that. I saw the results, and I saw how it started from pretty well nothing into this fantastic operation. And for Shelter House, obviously, terrific job there, that's for sure. Patty, I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
All the best for
Thank
sure.
You very much.
And people of Thunder Bay, Patty, Hajdu. And if you get a chance, call Patty. Is there a number to call you at?
Yeah.
Or reach you at if you have questions? Or how do they get a hold of you?
Well, I have a website. It's pattyhajdu.ca, and I'll spell it, pattyhajdu.ca. And also my cell phone number, I always answer. If I don't answer, I call you back. It's 807-251-7994.
Thank you, Patty. Thunder Bay Live, Councilor's Corner. Have a great day, and join us for some more interviews in the future. Thank you. Bye-bye.